everybody doing today? Back again with another set of camera tests for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is the first set of camera tests using the Samsung Galaxy S6 Active. Alright, so this first set of tests are being done in 720p at 30 FPS, and we're going to be using the rear and the front facing cameras. So starting off with this first test, we're testing out the rear facing 16 megapixel camera. Alright, and we're going to run through the usual set of tests here. So we're going to do some pans, we're going to do some focus tests, we're going to attempt to do some exposure tests because it's really bright out today, so the exposure test might be a struggle, so on and so forth. All of the footage you guys and gals are seeing here today is being recorded using the onboard microphones and the rear and front facing cameras on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Active, and I am using my mini Manfrotto tripod and my universal Readycam camera mount, grip, and the Ulanzi smartphone camera mount to stabilize this footage here. Alright? So, without further ado, let's get into these pans. So starting off, we're going to pan from here all the way through to right about there, and we're going to do it 3 times. And please let me know what y'all think of the overall stabilization, because the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Active does have OIS, okay, image stabilization, optical image stabilization, and it also has EIS, electronic image stabilization, and I do have the EIS turned on for all of the footage. Alright, so let me know what y'all think. It's pan number 2. Come on back. And we'll get into pan number 3 now. Alright. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to attempt to do here is the exposure testing. So let me go into the shade a little bit. And we're going to pan down like this. And we're going to pan up and out to the tree in the distance over there. And what we're looking for with these pans is a nice smooth transition from the darker areas of the video to the lighter areas with minimal exposure blowout. Now, I'm not expecting too much exposure blowout because it's nice and sunny. So y'all let me know what you think. We'll do this 3 times. Two and 3. Okay, now let's go ahead and check the focusing speed. Now, in particular with the S6 Active, this device does have continuous autofocus and tap to focus as well, and I do believe this was the second implementation of Samsung's dual pixel autofocus or ISO self-focus. So I'm really interested to see how the camera performs. So starting off, the first thing we're going to do is test the continuous autofocus. So I'm just going to let the phone try and do all of the work, and I'm going to report to you guys when I think the phone has gotten a lock. Now also let me know what y'all think of the focus down below in the comments. Do you think the phone is actually in focus or not? After this test, we'll do the tap to focus test, and then we'll move on to the zoom testing and wrap the test up. Alright, so starting off, we're going to pick our 3 focal points here. So we're going to use that tree out in the distance. We're going to use this white pillar over here. And we're going to use this tree on the other side of the second driveway here. Alright, so without further ado, here we go. So I'm hoping that it's locked on the tree. Alright, now we should be locked on the pillar. And now we should be locked on the other tree in the distance. Go back to the pillar here. Go back to this tree over here. Go back to the pillar right here. Go back to this tree over here. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Now, I am noticing through the viewfinder that it's kind of doing like a pulsating lock. So I don't know if that's going to show up on camera on the playback. It's like a little bit of a glitch and lock. It's kind of weird. But we'll do this one more time. Yeah, there it is, like a little glitch and lock. Alright, let me know what y'all think. Now, let's go ahead and test out the tap to focus. So I'm going to tap it and I'm going to report when it says it has a lock. Now you can also lock the exposure and lock the focus with a press and hold. And you can also take photos while in video as well. There's a nice little shutter button to let you snap a photo. You can also pause the video and or stop the video. So really, really nice. And I do believe if you pause the video, you can only pause it for about 2 minutes before it stops the video altogether. Ooh, a butterfly. So yeah, there is that. Sorry, y'all, got a little sidetracked. Anyways, let's test out this tap to focus with the same 3 subjects. So the tree, the pillar, and the other tree on the other side of the driveway. Let's see what happens, see if there's any differences. So here we go. All right, boom, and it's on. And then let's go over here to the pillar. Boom, and it's on. And let's go over there to the other tree. Boom, and it's on. So also, because I just got reminders of it, we do have object tracking autofocus. So what's happening now, I forgot to turn it off, is when I tap on a focusing subject, I get a green box, which indicates that the subject is in focus. And as long as that subject is within the frame, it's going to try and keep focus on that subject. As soon as it goes outside of the frame, it's going to revert back to the autofocusing. Okay, so as you can see, now I'm focused on the tree, and it's trying to keep that tree in focus as I move to another subject. And as soon as the tree is out of focus, it tries to lock on focus on something else. So, boom, let's go over here to the pillar here. And now it got focus on the pillar. And as soon as the pillar is out of focus, it goes back to the autofocus there. So as y'all can see, and as soon as the pillar comes back into view of the camera, it locks on focus right away, right back. Alright, so good stuff there. And I gotta tell you, this object tracking autofocus is pretty good, and the focusing speeds seem pretty fast. Okay, let me stop talking now and power through the rest of this test. So tapping on the tree here, locked up. Tapping on the pillar over here, locked up. It's almost instant. Tapping on the other tree over here, locked up. Alright, so really fast tap to focus focusing speeds. Alright, and really fast object tracking autofocus. Alright, so you're going to see as I move it around, it tries to shift that focus. So pretty good stuff indeed. Now for the next set of rear facing camera tests, I will turn off the object tracking autofocus, so it will either be continuous autofocus or tap to focus being used throughout the remainder of these tests. Now let's do the zoom testing and let's wrap this up. So throughout this whole video so far, you guys and gals have been seeing it with no zoom being applied. Alright, now the S6 Active here does have a maximum zooming focal range of about 8 times zoom. Alright, and that is indeed digital zoom. So at a certain point, all we're doing is cropping the image digitally, and you do lose detail when you digitally crop an image. And the only time I would recommend that you go crazy with your smartphone cameras and your pinch to zoom or digital zoom is if you have a dedicated zoom or telephoto lens. Because this device does not, I do not recommend that you use anything more than 2 times zoom, okay? And hopefully you guys and gals will see why in a second here. So let's pick a focus point here. Let's use the grass as an example. So let me lock focus. and now we can zoom in. Now there's a few different ways you can set up your device to zoom in, and one of the ways being you can set up the volume keys to zoom, record a video, or take a photo. Me myself, I prefer to use the volume buttons for zooming, so that's how I have it set up. But that's one thing I wanted to point out, because we did not go through the dedicated camera interface portion of this video, because to me it is very similar to the S8, which I've covered in full detail, and the S7 Active, which I've covered in full detail. So this video, we're just going to jump directly into the photo samples and then directly into the video samples. Okay, so if I'm being a little bit more explanatory in these clips, that's why, because I'm still going to try and pack these with as much information as possible so you guys and gals know exactly what you're getting into if you decide to pick up this device, and cameras are something that is very important to you. Alright, so we got focus on the grass here, and right now we're at no zoom, and the first thing I'm going to do is take it up to 1.5 times. So now we're at 1.5 times zoom, and you can see the color representation, the stabilization, and the detail at 1.5 times zoom is pretty awesome. Okay? That grass looks almost exactly like how it looks in real life. This is 1.5 times zoom. Now let's bump it up to 2 times zoom. Alright? Alright, so now we're at 2 times zoom here, and y'all can see this is the maximum zoom range that I recommend you go with, because this to me is the perfect balance between detail, stabilization, and that's pretty much it. So we can still have a nice amount of detail, saturation, and the stabilization of the footage is really, really good. Now, prime example to test stabilization while we're zoomed in is, as you zoom in, the more minute movements will become more evident, forcing the optical image stabilization and the EIS to try and counterbalance. Now, I do apologize because your boy does have some extremely shaky hands, even with all the equipment I'm using to try and stabilize the video. So y'all should really be able to see those extra shakes or minute movements. Alright, now let's turn off the object tracking autofocus, and now it's just on continuous focus, and let's pan around so y'all can see some of the detail. Again, 2 times digital zoom here, and you can see this looks really good. Detail on the pillars here, nice color representation, good stuff. Now, it does have up to 8 times digital zoom, so the next stop we're going to do on the zoom train is 4 times zoom. So 3, 4. And this is 4 times zoom, and you can see how the detail is. You can see how the stabilization is. Those little minute movements seem to really, really shake up the cameras. You can really see it, and we have lost a little bit of detail in the grass, but the color representation is still pretty good. Alright? Pretty good indeed. Now I'm noticing the camera is doing a little bit of clipping. I'm not sure if that's going to be in the end resulting video, but we'll find out, because I'm going to stitch these together and put them up to YouTube completely unedited. It's just going to be one long video, untouched, so y'all can see exactly how the cameras perform. So this is 4 times zoom. Alright, now let's take it up to the max zoom. This is 8 times zoom. And it is having a little bit of trouble focusing, and this video is extremely shaky. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of focus hunting. What do y'all think? We do still maintain some detail, especially if you focus on the further out things like the road there. You still maintain some detail, but when you get closer up to things like the grass, focus really struggles, and then when it does lock focus, it looks very splotchy and pixelated. So yeah, this is actually making my eyes hurt. Let's back up. Alright, so this was a in-depth camera test outdoors in good lighting with the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the S6 Active in 720p at 30 FPS. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin the cameras around and we're going to test out the 5 megapixel front-facing camera in the same way. One thing that I forgot to mention is that you can also record true 4K footage with the rear-facing camera. You could do 4K, you could do 2K, you could do 720p, you could do 480p, and you could do 1080p 60 and 1080p 30 as well. Along with that, you can also do 720p 120 frames per second slow motion and 720p 240 frames per second slow motion as well. These slow motion clips I will have in a separate dedicated video because I don't want to make this too long, but I do want to provide all the information to you guys and gals so y'all know. Alright, just had to throw that out there before I forgot. Now let's switch to the front facing camera and continue the testing. I'll be right back. Alright, and now we're testing out the front-facing 5 megapixel camera on the S6 Active, and this video clip is also in 720p at 30 frames per second. Alright, so just some real quick stabilized handheld footage, because this is not stationary. I'm actually holding this in my stabilizer setup, which I set already in the rear-facing clip. Alright, so this is using the Mini Manfrotto mount tripod, the Universal Readycam grip, and the Ulanzi smartphone mount. So, and this is handheld right now. Now, if I do put it down, if I stabilize it on my knee here, then we have some nice stationary footage. But because of how cropped in the image is, you can see if I rest it completely flat, kind of chops off my head. So I kind of got to hold it up and hold it out a little bit just to get that nice frame up the way I would want, because as soon as you push record, the video footage does get cropped in just a little bit, just enough to make a difference. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. Now, the interesting thing with the front-facing cameras is we can do up to 2K video recording at 30 frames per second. We could do 2K, we could do 1080p 30, 720p, and 480p. So no true 4K with the front-facing cameras, but 2K is still pretty good. And considering that this is a 2K display on this device, all we can really do is play back the video at 2K resolution anyway. So having the ability to do true 4K doesn't really mean much. And at the end of the day, all I really have for me to watch back the footage is a 720p display. So I'm only watching these things back at 720p. The phones themselves are only doing it at up to 2K. So true 4K doesn't really make a difference to me. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what y'all think of this footage, okay? As I pan around, how's the camera doing with exposure? How's the camera doing with the detail of my skin? How's it doing with the background detail and the reflections? How's the stabilization? Let me know. All right, we're not going to make this too much longer. Also, let me know what you think of the front-facing microphone performance. How's it doing? Because there is no external microphone hooked up in the recording of any of these videos, just so y'all can get a nice idea of how it performs. All right, let's move on to some other tests now. I'll be right back. All right, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another clip for you guys and gals. This time we're out by the pool here today, and we're testing out the rear-facing and front-facing cameras on the S6 Active yet again. This time we're testing out the S6 Active cameras in 1080p at 60 and 30 FPS respectively. So this first set of tests is being recorded at 60 FPS in 1080p, and then we'll test out the front-facing cameras in 1080p at 30 FPS, and then we'll move on to some more testing. So starting off, we just have some nice stationary footage here, and then we're going to go into our usual test. So we're going to do 3 pans, then we're going to test the exposure, then we're going to test the focus, and lastly we're going to wrap it up testing the zoom. Alright, so now that we've done the stationary portion, let's go ahead and jump right into the pan test. So picking everything up here, we're going to pan from here all the way through to right about there and back. We're going to do this 3 times. Right. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Also, please feel free to let me know how you feel the stabilization is doing. Again, the S6 active cameras do have OIS and EIS, and I do have EIS turned on for all of these testing footage. Alright? Okay. Next thing now, let's go ahead and test the exposure here. Move this table out the way. Alright, and let's pan down to the ground. And what we're looking for with the exposure test is we want a nice smooth transition from the lighter areas to the darker areas and vice versa with minimal exposure blowout. And if the camera does blow out, we want it to recover as fast as possible. So panning down to the pool deck here, I gotta say these cameras are doing a great job. This is actually almost the right color for the pool deck. As you can see, it's like an off eggshell brown with a white rim. So these cameras are doing it almost perfectly. Really nice representation, really nice detail. But as we pan further down, you can see that the color shifts. So now it's kind of like a deep brown through the viewfinder, which is not exactly accurate. Panning up, this is the most accurate color representation right here. Alright, so now let's do this exposure test. So we're going to pan up and out to the water heater in the distance there and see how it handles the exposure shifting. Alright, let me know what y'all think. We're going to do this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now, from what I just noticed, the camera actually did a really good job. It was a smooth and seamless transition from the lighter areas to the darker areas, but I did notice some choppiness and a little bit of clipping. I'm wondering if that's going to come through in the final render, because you know after you push stop on the videos, they do go through some processing before you see the end result. So I'm wondering if that choppiness is going to come through in the end resulting video clip, but it is what it is. Alright, now let's test out the focusing speed. Okay, let me put the table back, just so I have a little bit of extra support here. Alright. As I shift the glass out of here, didn't mean to do that. Hold on, let me pause this real quick. My bad, y'all. I had to pause real quick. I went to move the table and the glass on the table popped out, so I had to put it back in. Alright, so here we go. Let's test out the focusing speeds. Now, as we did before in the 720p test, we're going to do the continuous autofocus first. Now, I have turned off the object tracking focus, so primarily all we have is continuous autofocus and tap to focus. So y'all will see just how good those are moving forward. Okay, so starting off, we're going to pick some focus points here. We're going to use the water heater as 1, we're going to use the mango tree in the distance as 2, and we'll use the pool chair on the other side of the pool as 3. Alright, and starting off, we're going to test the continuous autofocus first. So here we go. Right now, I'm hoping that it's locked on the pool heater. I don't know. Now we're over to the pool chair. Alright, now we're on the mango tree. Okay, back to the pool chair. Back to the water heater. Back to the pool chair. Back to the mango tree. Alright, back to the pool chair. Back to the water heater. Okay, so I did notice a few things. Now, it does seem to pulsate and lock focus, and it tends to make the video look a little choppy when it does that, but that's just what I can see through the viewfinder here. So, let me know what y'all think. Now, let's test out the tap to focus and see if there's any differences. So, tapping on the pool heater, locked up. Tapping on the pool chair, locked up. Tapping on the mango tree, locked up. Now you can tell a big difference when you use the tap to focus because the exposure changes right when you tap on your focus point. So you can see if I tap on the mango tree, it kind of gets a little darker, but it tries to bring out the color of the mango tree. That's completely different than when I tap on the pool chair, kind of dials up the exposure and tries to bring out more detail of the pool chair, which is completely different from when I tap on the water heater, where it kind of tries to bring out that color of the water heater while dialing down all the other colors. Now you can also control the exposure by tapping on your focus point, and then you got a little plus and minus or a little scroll wheel that you can slide up and down so you can really dial in the exposure you want. So you can see I can make it really dark, I can make it really light, or I can like dial it into just perfect, and this exposure will stay. Now if I want to adjust the exposure, all I have to do now is tap another focus point, and it automatically resets the exposure and resets the focus. So you can see if I tap another focus point like the pool water, it's going to reset everything, and you see the exposure reset, the focus reset, everything reset. Now I can dial that in again by tapping and adjusting the exposure. So that looks perfect to me, and then that will stay till I pick another focus point. But all in all, I just wanted to show y'all that real quick tutorial there. But I have to say the tap to focus speeds are really good. Let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Now let's do the zoom testing, and then let's get up out of here and do some more tests. Now we're going to focus on the water here today. So you tap and lock the focus. And this whole test y'all have been seeing is with no zoom. Now, as I said before in my previous test, we can go up to 8 times digital zoom, but I only recommend you go up no further than 2 times zoom. All right, but here we go. So this is no zoom. All right, 1.5 times. That still looks really good. Alright, take it up to 2 times now. 2 times zoom right here. What y'all think of the color representation, the detail, the stabilization? Let me know. Alright. Alright, let's go up to 4 times. Okay, 4 times zoom. What do you think? Now let's take it all the way up to 8 times zoom. So now we're maxed out. 8 times zoom. What do you think? Alright. Alright, let's zoom it out now. And we're back. So, real quick, or as quick as I can, rear facing camera test in 1080p, 60 FPS. Now let's go ahead and switch the cameras around and do a similar test with the front facing camera. So, also let me know what y'all think of the onboard microphone performance, because there was no external microphone hooked up here today. Anyways, I'll be right back. Now let's test out the front facing cameras in similar lighting conditions. Okay, 1 second y'all. Alright, and now we're testing out the front facing 5 megapixel camera on the S6 Active in 1080p at 30 FPS, and we're starting off with some stationary footage. Alright, so I have everything set up on my little stabilizer setup, and this is just some real quick stationary footage for y'all. Let me know what you think of the color representation, because the camera seems to want to focus on my background instead of on me. How you think the detail looks in the background, y'all? I actually think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you think of the microphone performance. Okay, because no external microphones are hooked up. Now I have my headphones on just to cut down on background noise, because listening to that water heater for too long does make my head hurt. So I just have the headphones on even though I have nothing playing. It just helps, it makes it a little easier for me to do this test. Now that the stationary test is done, let's go ahead and pick everything up and see how the camera performs. So now that it chose to focus on my face, everything looks pretty good. Now it does overexpose the background, I can see it already, but it's not bad at all. And the image, as with the other test, is a little bit cropped in, kind of punched in a little bit, but still pretty good. All I gotta do is hold my hand out a little bit wider to get everything framed up the way I would like. So pretty good stuff. Alright, so real quick front facing test. Let me know what y'all think of the stabilization, the detail, the color representation. Let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna actually pause and go take that garbage out right there. So we're gonna do that real quick before we do some more testing. Alright, let me know what y'all think of these front facing cameras in outdoor good lighting conditions. Alright, next we're gonna go inside now, right inside there. We're gonna close up the shades and give y'all some low light demos. Okay? So I'll be right back with that. Right after I take this trash out, we're gonna go ahead and handle that. So I'll be right back. I'll see y'all in a little bit with the next set of clips. Peace. Alright, so now we're testing out the front facing 5 megapixel camera on the S6 Active, okay, in 720p, and we're indoors now in what I would consider to be a low light scenario here. So this is indoors, daytime, low light with the front facing 5 megapixel camera in 720p, and as y'all can see, I've closed up the shades as best I could here, and then I just sat down and pushed record. So let me know what y'all think of this. Okay, now I'm kind of in the best spot for the lighting. So you can see over there it's a little bit brighter than it should be, and over here it's a little bit darker than it should be, and then I'm kind of in between in what you would consider to be the perfect lighting area. So if I pan over here, it gets dark. If I pan over here, it gets too light, and then I'm right here in the center looking good. Alright, but yeah, let me know what y'all think of the stabilization, the audio, the video, the detail. Let me know what y'all think. How is the S6 Active performing in these different scenarios? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to the bedroom, because that's where I set up the whole recording station. As y'all can see, this is where the desk used to be with all my recording equipment. I moved that to the bedroom because this area is full with traffic, and nothing's worse than when you're trying to record something and a whole bunch of people keep coming in and out, or you know, somebody trying to get some yard work done and they keep opening and closing doors. I know you guys hate that background noise. Oh, I still get comments on my older videos where the batteries for the smoke detectors didn't get changed. I know y'all hate that background noise, especially when it's consistent, so I had to make some changes. So I moved everything into the bedroom and set everything back up. So now we're gonna run to the bedroom. We're gonna try and get the lighting similar to this, and then we're gonna run through the same style of testing for the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera in 720p. Alright, so now we're indoors, and this is indoor daytime low lighting here. And once again, we're testing out the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Active. Alright, so now I'm in the main shooting space, which I've moved to the bedroom here, and I've closed up all the shades as dim as I can. So this is daytime, as you can see, still nice and sunny outside. Alright, and here we are in the main shooting space, so you can see how the primary camera can handle daytime low light. Now, from what I can see here, this is kind of dim, but still usable, I would say. Not the best, but usable. Prime example, if I wanted to record something in this lighting scenario here. Let's see what phone I got on here today. Yeah, here we go. Here's the M20. So let's say I wanted to record something. You can see as soon as I add another light source, it kind of blows out. So I would have to really adjust the brightness here in order for this to work out. Because you see how dim that is? It's kind of blowing out the colors. So what I would need to do here is bring this way down to get those colors to come back in. You see how the colors are coming back in? Bring this all the way down. Which I'm having trouble doing right now. Here we go. Bring that all the way down to right about there. And now this is usable. But the display on the device is extremely dim. But now you can see it looks very usable on the cameras on the 6 Active. So this will work. Alright? Not bad. But the minute I take the light away, you can see it's still very dim. So this would almost be a situation where artificial lighting or some sort of secondary lighting is a must. And you can see the focus actually really struggles in low light. See, the continuous autofocus is taking some time to lock back on because the camera doesn't have enough light. So I'll probably have to assist it with the tap, and you can see the focus comes right back on. So you can see this is just a real quick test of the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the S6 Active in daytime low light. Alright, y'all. So now we're testing out the front and the rear-facing cameras on the S6 Active in artificial lighting. Okay, so it's actually daytime now, but I've closed up all the shades, and the only thing lighting up the scene here is the artificial lighting from my room light here. So if I pan up, you guys and gals will see that's the only thing lighting up the scene right now. Okay, no other lights are on right now. Okay, and y'all gonna have to forgive the mess in the background. It is what it is. After I record these clips, we are gonna get some laundry done, so please forgive that mess y'all see. But yeah, let me know what y'all think of this. So this is front-facing stationary footage with the front-facing 5 megapixel camera on the S6 Active. This is being recorded in 1080p at 30 FPS. Alright, so nice vlog style footage here. If I just wanted to come on and talk with you guys, give y'all a real quick update, so on and so forth, this is how it would look. And all I have stabilizing the phone today is the Smooth Q gimbal that I just picked up for you guys and gals. I'm going to do some coverage on that. So that's the only thing I have stabilizing the device. I don't have any external microphones hooked up here today, even though I got a whole bunch. So everything y'all are seeing and hearing are coming directly from the cameras and the onboard mics. Okay, and this is in 1080p. So let me know what y'all think of this. Now let's go ahead and pick everything up. Alright. So now I'm just holding it in my hand. Now it's still attached to the gimbal. So let me know what y'all think of the stabilization. Alright. How do you feel the phone is doing? How do you feel the gimbal is doing? How's the audio? Let me know. Alright. Real smooth stationary footage here. Let me know what y'all think. Alright, we're not going to make this clip too much longer than this. Now we're going to go ahead and spin the cameras around and do the same test, but with the rear-facing 16 megapixels. Alright, so now I went ahead and I spun around the camera. So now we're using the rear-facing 16 megapixel sensor on the S6 Active, and this footage is being recorded in 1080p at 60 FPS. Okay, same artificial lighting up the scene here. So let me know what y'all think of this. And honestly, y'all, this looks pretty good. Looking through the viewfinder, if I was gonna record a review or tutorial or demo, this would be pretty good lighting for it. So just let me set it up here. So I would have to set up the gimbal, and my setup for recording will be set up in this orientation. So we got a nice downward angle. So if I was doing a smartphone review, this is what that would look like. Alright. So really good stuff. Now I didn't adjust the brightness on this. I just picked this up. This was on the table. So this is what that footage would look like. Real crisp. Yeah, good stuff. Throw it on the gimbal. Got gimbal on the brain. Throw it on the phone stand here, and this actually looks really good. The text is nice and crisp and clear. The overall color is real nice. You can maintain a lot of detail on this. Pretty good stuff here. Pretty good indeed. Alright? Good stuff. So, you know, that actually looks pretty good. Now, it's not as sharp, but it's still pretty good. Now, let's look at something else as an example here. So this is my Comica microphone. That looks pretty good. Okay? The text is nice and sharp. You can see all the details here. Now, black is notorious for not showing up well on camera, but this actually looks pretty good. Okay? A little bit of focus hunting there, but it recovered nicely. Bam! Alright, so now let me just pick everything up here. Let y'all see what it would look like if it was moving a little bit. So, yeah, so y'all know my desk is a two-piece. So if you didn't know, now you know. Typically what I do is I just set up one of my stabilizers on one of my mini tripods, and I put it right here. Then I angle everything up. And boom, once I got everything set up, I start recording just like this. iPhone going crazy. Alright? So this is typically how my setup works. Now, generally, I use something like this right here. So this is my Readycam universal grip and my Ulanzi smartphone mount. This is typically my go-to right here. And then my mini Manfrotto tripod. Okay? Especially if I'm going to be doing a lot of movement, that's what I like to use. Or if I'm doing nice stationary footage, like what you guys and gals are seeing right now, then I would use this bad boy right here. And again, y'all gonna have to forgive the mess. I do have to empty out some more trash here. But this is what this would look like. Now this is my Ongo production kit right here. And it comes with its own tripod, and then it's fully adjustable. So y'all can see that right there. And then this right here, the mount that I have on it, this is the Tyrian clamp mount for smartphones. And this is what I use when I want to shoot nice stationary footage. Alright, so just so y'all get an idea of the rear-facing camera performance, the stabilization while the camera is moving, so on and so forth. Alright, and once again, this footage was recorded in 1080p at 60 FPS. So, let me know what you guys and gals think. Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with the final set of clips for the camera test for the S6 Active. So we're outside in the big yard today, and I'm sitting under my favorite tree, and we're going to record these last set of 2K clips. So this is being recorded in 2K at 30 FPS with the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Active. So we're going to run through the usual tests here. We're going to do some pans, we're going to do some focus tests, we're going to do some exposure tests, and then we're going to finish everything off with some zoom testing. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that when you record with the rear-facing camera in 2K or true 4K, because these cameras can do true 4K, you have a limit recording restriction of 5 minutes at a time. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. So let's finish up these last set of pans. I have done 3 so far, and this is the last one. Okay. And now let's go into the exposure test. So let's pan down to the ground here, and we're going to pan up and out to this small tree in the distance over here. And what we're looking for is a nice smooth transition from the darker shadowy areas to the lighter sunny areas with minimal exposure blowout. And if the cameras do blow out, we want them to recover as quick as possible. So we're going to do this 3 times right here. So 1, oh wow, that got dark quick. 2, oh yeah, it seems to be shifting really bad. And the last one, 3. Okay, so it's doing a gradual transition, but it's going from light to dark, and it's doing it in the reverse because I'm sitting in the shade and it's actually quite sunny out in front of me here. Actually, I just lost the sun. Well, there you have it. Now let's do some focus testing here. Now the S6 Active does have continuous autofocus, and it has tap to focus as well as object tracking focus. Now I've turned off the object tracking focus, so now we're just going to test the continuous autofocus and the tap to focus. So let's pick 3 subjects here. Let's use this tree in front of us. Let's use the boat over there in the distance, and we'll use that tree over the shed. And let's just see, I'm gonna cycle through it real quick, and then we're gonna go directly into the tap to focus. So y'all let me know if it's in focus. Now I hope I don't run out of time. So here we go. Tree over the shed, tree directly in front, and boat. One more time. Tree over the shed, tree directly in front, and boat. Alright, now let's do the tap to focus. Tree over the shed, tap, tree directly in front, tap, and boat. Boom. It seems to get a better exposure when you do the tap to focus. When you let the phone try and expose, the phone tends to make it a little darker on its own. But you can see when I tap to focus, it actually brightens up the image. Alright, and now lastly, let's check out the zoom. So I've been doing this whole video with no zoom. Now let's go up to 2 times zoom. Alright, 2 times zoom. Alright, now let's go up to 4 times zoom. 4 times zoom. Alright, now let's go up to the max, 8 times zoom. Alright, 8 times zoom. What do y'all think? How's the stabilization? How's the color? Alright, how's the overall detail in the image? Alright, actually this doesn't look half bad. Okay, now let's flip the cameras around and do the same thing with the front-facing cameras. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, y'all, and now we're back in with the final test of the front-facing 5-megapixel camera on the S6 Active. So as I said before with the rear-facing camera test, I'm sitting under my favorite tree here, and we're out in the big yard, and this is the front-facing 5-megapixel camera at 2K resolution. This is the max resolution for the front-facing camera, and just like with the rear, we have a limit recording restriction of 5 minutes. Okay, so if you're gonna record 2K footage with the front-facing camera, you can only do 5 minutes at a time. But let me know what y'all think of this footage. How's the detail? How's the color representation? How's it doing? How's the stabilization? Now we do have fixed focus with the front-facing cameras, so let me know. Alright, we're not gonna make this video much longer than this. Overall, how do I feel about these cameras on the S6 Active? Well, in good to okay lighting, you can get some really good photos and some really good videos. But the minute where the lighting is not adequate, then you're really going to run into some issues. And it's the same with the front and the rear facing cameras. So if y'all want to still pick this up and you're a camera buff, or you need a phone with a really good camera, I would recommend, if you're looking at something in this price range, you make sure if you pick this up that you're going to have adequate lighting for all of what you're trying to record with your smartphone cameras. If not, I can't recommend this. If you're going to be shooting in lower light scenarios and you want some really good images, this may not be the one for you. But overall, I would have to say that the performance is okay to good performance, and considering the age of the device, that's not bad whatsoever. Not bad at all, and especially for the price, that's really not bad. Anyways, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed all of this camera and photo coverage. Let me know what y'all think of the video and photo samples down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys and gals in my next video. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.